Good night, Malaysia 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight.
Malaysia Airlines Flight
MH370.
Flight MH370
disappeared en route to Beijing.
We believe family members should prepare themselves for the worst.
8th March 2014. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, heading to Beijing. There were 227 passengers and 12 crew members on board. This flight was supposed to be routine, yet it turned into one of the greatest aviation mysteries ever. Less than an hour after takeoff, the plane vanished from radar screens. All communication with the aircraft was lost. In the cockpit, everything seemed normal, with no signs of distress or trouble. Yet the plane's sudden disappearance left the world stunned. Families of the passengers waited anxiously, hoping for news. As hours turned into days, hope turned into despair. Search teams from multiple countries scoured vast areas of ocean, but no trace of the plane was found. The only clue was a final, unscheduled turn detected by military radar, taking the plane off its original course. What happened next is a tale filled with theories and speculations. From hijacking to mechanical failure, from pilot suicide to extraterrestrial intervention, the possibilities are endless. Yet the truth remains elusive. 5 years later, in 2019, a piece of the plane washed up on Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean. This debris was identified as part of MH370, confirming that the plane did crash into the ocean. But where exactly did it go down and why? This story is not just about a missing plane, it's about the 239 souls on board, their families, and the relentless search for answers. Could the mystery of MH370 ever be solved? Or will it remain a haunting question forever? On the night of 8th March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 prepared for departure from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The Boeing 777-200ER, a large and reliable aircraft, was scheduled for a routine flight to Beijing, China. At 12:41 a.m., the plane took off with 227 passengers and 12 crew members on board. Among the passengers were families, business travelers, tourists, and students, each with their own hopes and plans for the journey ahead. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 hours of flight experience, was at the helm. His co-pilot, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, was also well regarded, despite having less experience. The takeoff was smooth, and the plane quickly ascended to its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. For the first 38 minutes, everything appeared to be normal. Passengers settled into their seats, some watching in-flight entertainment, others drifting off to sleep. The cabin crew served refreshments, and the flight seemed to be progressing as planned. As the plane crossed the South China Sea, it was handed over from Malaysian air traffic control to Vietnamese air traffic control. At 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari communicated, "Good night, Malaysian 370 to Malaysian air traffic control."
Good night, Malaysia 370.
This would be the last communication from the flight. Shortly after, the aircraft's transponder, which communicates its location to ground radar, was turned off. The plane then made a sharp turn to the west, deviating from its flight path. This turn was not communicated to air traffic control, and the aircraft disappeared from civilian radar screens. Efforts to contact the flight by both Malaysian and Vietnamese authorities failed. By 2:22 a.m., the plane was last detected by Malaysian military radar over the Andaman Sea, flying northwest. The immediate reaction to the disappearance was confusion and disbelief. A modern aircraft simply vanishing without a trace was unprecedented. The initial search focused on the South China Sea, where the plane was last known to be. Multiple countries, including Malaysia, Vietnam, China, and the United States, dispatched ships, aircraft, and submarines to scour the area. Days passed without any sign of the plane. The search area was expanded to include the Gulf of Thailand and the Straits of Malacca. As the search progressed, it became evident that the flight had taken a drastic turn. Military radar data revealed that the plane had changed direction and flown back across the Malay Peninsula. On 15 March 2014, A week after the disappearance, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak announced that satellite data indicated the plane had continued flying for several hours after losing contact.
Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
This data, known as handshakes, were signals automatically sent between the aircraft and an Inmarsat satellite. The analysis of these signals suggested two possible flight paths: a northern corridor extending towards Central Asia and a southern corridor into the vast Indian Ocean. Given the improbability of the northern route due to geopolitical factors, the search efforts concentrated on the southern Indian Ocean. This area was one of the most remote and inhospitable regions on the planet, with limited radar coverage and extreme depths reaching up to 6,000 meters. After the disappearance of MH370, many theories and speculations emerged about what could have happened to the plane. Let's explore these theories one by one to understand the different possibilities that investigators considered. One of the initial thoughts was that the plane might have experienced a significant mechanical or electrical failure. Such a failure could have led to a loss of communication and radar contact. This would include scenarios like a catastrophic failure of the aircraft's electrical systems, which could have knocked out the transponder and other communication devices. However, this theory doesn't fully explain the deliberate changes in the flight path observed in radar data. A significant amount of attention focused on Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. Some theorists suggested that Zahari intentionally disabled the plane's communication systems and diverted the flight path. But why would an experienced and respected pilot do such a thing? Supporters of this theory pointed to several factors. First, the plane made a sharp turn back towards Malaysia, a maneuver that would have required manual input, indicating that someone in the cockpit intentionally altered the course. Second, the flight path carefully skirted the borders between Thai and Malaysian airspace, possibly to avoid detection by either country's radar systems. Third, Zahari had a flight simulator at home, where he had simulated a route similar to the one MH370 took, suggesting premeditation. However, there were strong counter-arguments against this theory. Zahari was a well-respected pilot with no known personal, financial, or psychological issues. Colleagues and family members described him as professional and stable. Moreover, if Zahari intended to commit suicide, there would likely have been some indication in his behavior or personal life, but none was found. Another theory considered the possibility of hijackers taking control of the plane. Two passengers on the flight, both Iranian, raised suspicions because they were traveling with stolen passports. Initially, it was feared they might have been involved in a terrorist plot. These two passengers were using stolen passports from an Italian and an Austrian, both stolen in Thailand. This initially seemed suspicious and led to speculation about a potential hijacking. However, investigations revealed that these individuals likely intended to use the fake passports to reach Europe for asylum, not to commit an act of terror. This theory was further weakened when Interpol confirmed that the men were not known terrorists. One of the most plausible theories is that everyone on board suffered from hypoxia oxygen deficiency, including the pilots. This could happen due to a gradual loss of cabin pressure. If the crew became unconscious, the plane would continue to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. A slow decompression might not be immediately noticeable, giving the crew little time to react before becoming incapacitated. Another possibility is that an electrical fire caused a rapid loss of oxygen and disabled critical systems, including communication equipment. If the plane was on autopilot, it could have flown for several hours until the fuel was exhausted, leading to a crash in the remote southern Indian Ocean. There's also a possibility that someone aboard the plane intentionally caused the oxygen deficiency or disabled the communication systems. This sabotage could have been carried out by a passenger or even a crew member. However, no concrete evidence has been found to support this theory. The search for MH370's wreckage was one of the most extensive in aviation history. In early 2015, the focus shifted to an underwater search using advanced sonar equipment. This search covered over 120,000 square kilometers of the southern Indian Ocean. Despite the immense effort and resources, no significant findings were made for over a year. A breakthrough came on 29 July 2015, when a piece of debris washed ashore on Reunion Island, east of Madagascar. This piece, identified as a flaperon from a Boeing 777, was confirmed to be from MH370. It provided the first concrete evidence that the plane had crashed into the Indian Ocean. Following this discovery, other debris items were found on beaches in Mauritius, Mozambique, and Tanzania. These included parts of the interior cabin, a wing component, and an engine cowling. Each piece was meticulously analyzed to confirm its origin and to glean any possible clues about the aircraft's final moments. While the debris confirmed the crash location, it did not provide answers to the key questions: why and how did MH370 end up in the southern Indian Ocean? The main wreckage and the crucial flight recorders, which could reveal the cause of the crash, remained undiscovered. The disappearance of flight MH370 has left an indelible mark on aviation history and the lives of those affected. Theories ranged from believable to crazy. Some suggested mechanical failure, while others leaned towards more sinister possibilities such as hijacking or pilot involvement. The intense scrutiny on Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah's background, his personal life, and his mental state became a focal point. Investigators examined his flight simulator, personal records, and even his political affiliations, searching for any clues that might explain the sudden disappearance. The breakthrough came with the analysis of satellite data from Inmarsat. This data revealed that the plane had continued flying for several hours after losing contact with air traffic control. The analysis of this data involved complex calculations and led to the identification of two possible flight paths: a northern arc stretching towards Central Asia and a southern arc leading deep into the Indian Ocean. Given the geopolitical complexities and the unlikelihood of the northern arc scenario, the search efforts concentrated on the southern Indian Ocean. This region is one of the most remote and least explored areas of the world, posing significant logistical challenges. The search area covered thousands of square kilometers of ocean, with depths reaching up to 6,000 meters. In July 2015, a piece of the aircraft's wing, known as a flaperon, washed ashore on Reunion Island. This was a major development, as it provided the first tangible evidence that MH370 had indeed crashed into the Indian Ocean. The discovery of the flaperon was followed by the identification of additional debris on beaches across the western Indian Ocean, including parts of the interior cabin and other structural components. Each piece of debris was meticulously analyzed to confirm its origin and to glean any possible clues about the aircraft's final moments. These findings confirmed the crash location but did little to explain the circumstances leading to the disappearance. The absence of the main wreckage and the black boxes continued to hamper efforts to understand what went wrong. The disappearance of MH370 has had a profound impact on aviation safety and policies worldwide. In response to the incident, the International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO mandated new standards for aircraft tracking. Airlines are now required to report their aircraft's position at more frequent intervals, particularly when flying over remote areas. Additionally, advancements in satellite tracking technology have been accelerated. The development of the Global Aeronautical Distress and Safety System (GADSS) aims to ensure that no aircraft can disappear without a trace. This system includes provisions for autonomous distress tracking, which would enable an aircraft to continuously transmit its location in the event of an emergency. The story of MH370 is not just about a missing aircraft, it is a human story of loss, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of truth. It is a testament to the families who have fought tirelessly for answers and to the search teams who have dedicated countless hours to unraveling this enigma. As we reflect on the disappearance of MH370, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of seeking truth and understanding. The legacy of MH370 will continue to shape the future of aviation, inspiring advancements in safety, technology, and international cooperation. The search for answers may continue for years, but the determination to find the truth remains steadfast. The world waits in hope that one day, the mystery of MH370 will be solved, bringing closure to the families and ensuring that such a tragedy never happens again. Until that day, the story of MH370 serves as a somber reminder of the uncertainties of life and the enduring quest for truth and justice.